Now it's time for the next session today. It's the panel discussion on cloud-enabled digital infrastructures of PSU challenges and opportunities. And for that, I'd like to call on stage Mr. Vijay Devnath, GGM, Infra-Sec, CDG and ITSG, Center for Railway Information Systems. We welcome you, sir. Next, we have Mr. Subhash Chand, CISO, ICAR, Indian Agricultural Statistics Research Institute. We welcome you, sir. Abhijit Bora, GM Strategic IAS Indian Oil Corporation Limited. Can we have a huge round of applause for all our panelists? Ajay Kumar Nema, GM IT, HSCC India Limited. Mr. Deepak Soni, Deputy General Manager, IT and ERP and CISO, Delhi Transco Limited. Mr. Dipesh Jain, Deputy General Manager, IT, Infrastructure and Cybersecurity, Power Finance Corporation. And the last, we have the moderator of this session, Mr. Suneel Wattal, Principal Consultant, Noida Center of Excellence, MPseDC, Madhya Pradesh. We welcome you, sir.
Okay, good afternoon, all of you. It's my pleasure to be here moderating this session, and thank you organizers for calling me here. The topic is cloud-enabled digital infrastructure of PSUs. Well, all of us know that cloud enablement has both challenges as well as opportunities. The opportunities in terms of cloud enablement are especially a lot of opportunities, a lot of benefits in terms of aggregation, scalability, cost optimization. There's a whole lot of laundry list of those benefits that we can derive from cloud enablement, both in terms of PSUs or even non-PSUs. However, there are also some challenges. The challenges do range from data security issues to legal implications of storing data elsewhere, and also decisions regarding private cloud versus public cloud or a hybrid. So I'm sure all of you must have been facing similar challenges in your organizations. So with that, I would start with Mr. Devnath. We'll just go with a question each and maybe spend about 5-6 minutes on each question. So I'll start with Mr. Vijay Devnath. So what are the main benefits that PSUs can derive from adopting cloud-enabled digital infrastructure? So,
Hello. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the post-lunch session where all of you will be feeling sleepy. So, in that scenario, I should point out both the good things, pros and cons of cloud-enabled infrastructure. The pros are well known, like capacity, scalability, and then work from anywhere, etc., etc. But pay per use are also some of the advantages. But given the procedural issues we face in the government, this kind of contracting of pay per use or capacity being flexible between X and Y, etc., are very difficult to justify and very difficult to manage afterwards, because everything has to be paid for. Next issue is that the pro of unlimited scalability again creates issues when the scalability is required for at a very distant intervals. If it is continuous, it is okay, you can contractually address it. But if it is very distant, ek din aayi, fir uske baad 1 month you don't have that peak, then it is very difficult to contractually address such issues. Next is that as you know that today digital data is increasing by leaps and bounds. So and there is a skill shortage in government, where they can categorize and store the data in a different silos. So what happens is everything gets stored in the same storage boxes and or storage on the cloud, and then the cloud bill starts expanding. So there needs to be a skill development program also going with the cloud deployment, or we moving to the cloud, wherein all these cloud technology, the advantages are properly trained into our HR, or else we have to get those skills from outside.
Thank you, thank you, Mr. Devnath. So I'll move to Mr. Abhijit Bora. Mr. Bora, yeah, you can take the mic. So, what are the key challenges that PSUs face in migrating to cloud-based solutions, and how can these challenges be addressed? So
Yeah.
we started with the opportunities, and now we come to the challenges.
Yeah, thank you, Suneel ji, and good afternoon to all of you. Basically, sir, the first challenge that we encounter is to decide what to take to cloud and what not to take to cloud, because there are many types of applications that we run, and it's not imperative that we take everything to the cloud. For us, while we decide what to take to the cloud, there are two major concerns. One is the computing ability, because the traditional applications always run well in on-prem, and we have a long history and robust mechanisms in running in and managing our on-prem infrastructure. Now, we have even run many analytics, carried out many analytics in on-prem. But again, with coming of age, new technologies have come, GPTs have come, lots of abilities have come. So now, in order to try out those technologies, it is not possible in prem, because it requires huge infrastructure in terms of computing power and memory. So this may be one reason, in one paradigm, to decide which applications to take to cloud. And the second one is, for us, basically, there are many customer-centric applications, which are mostly, by customer, I mean the population. So we have some applications which are used by crores of citizens around the country. And yes, availability is an issue, and for that, yes, if we go to the cloud and develop those applications or deploy them in the cloud, then we must have an advantage with respect to an on-prem application. So these are the considerations, and this is also a challenge to decide what to take and what not to take. Apart from that, most of our refineries, especially, they are critical infrastructure of the nation, so we are not allowed to take data from these refineries infrastructure to the cloud. So that is another challenge for us, because recently, I will take an example that we have recently experienced. We have been developing a tool, basically, which optimizes from around, say, when we conceived it, it was supposed to optimize from around 2,400 different scenarios, and each of the scenarios had thousands of variables. So we thought, we planned the infrastructure in such a way that this solution, which was from Aviva, it was one of the best model that was running. So we thought it would be enough. But when we actually started configuring the model, our requirement went off from 2,400 different scenarios to around 10,000 plus scenarios. And we ended up in a situation where the tool took a whole day or more to run the scenarios. Finally, we ended up with a situation where, like we do in a football tournament, we divided all the scenarios into semi-finals, quarter-finals, and finals, and then finally run the show. So had it been in the cloud, then the scaling up would have been very easy, and we could have done it in a much better way. But again, since critical infrastructure comes into the picture, that is another constraint that we have in this respect. Also, yes, internet is another issue. Since we operate from all nooks and corners of the country, from Leh, Ladakh to Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh, and since our operating points and touch points must be running. So internet is an issue, although it has been improving in the nation. These are also some constraints which we have to deal. Also internally, since I have already spoken, we have a long history of maintaining on-prem infrastructure, and we have quite a good robust mechanism and expertise on that. So internally, we have some inhibition of going to the cloud. So these are some major issues that we face while deciding whether to go for a cloud or not.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Abhijit. So my next question is to Mr. Subhash Jain from ICAR. So the question is, how can PSUs ensure data security and compliance when moving sensitive data and sensitive information to the cloud?
Okay, first off, thank you, APAC, having me, and Suneel sir also. Uh, Let me allow just connect the dot. Every organization have their own mandate,
Right.
and if we think about, we have our service to deliver to the citizen or customer. If we think about, there are three pillars, you can say stakeholder are there. One is organization, and second is our client. It may be end user, it may be our citizen, and third one is the SIR, our service enabler. And I think there is no doubt any organization, if it is delivering the data and consuming the data, it is the custodian of that data. And it is very important because we have to ensure to our customer, our citizen, that your data is secure, and whenever you required, you will get with integrity, because we have not changed your data, and whenever you required, you get the data. And same thing happen with our service model also, because whenever we are delivering the data, there is a citizen or you can say user data, and add on our organizational or device data is there, because our physical identity has been changed in the digitally, whether it is human or your device, because in earlier days our legacy system has been converted in the digital, our manpower has been converted into digital, because you just access the data without face. And our helping device, you can say networking, whatever it is, they have their own identity also. So it is very essential to ensure when we are going to the cloud, how we ensure that our data and anybody data is secure, and it is not in a hackable stage. So we have to decide, I think so, identify that the data from our organization, we are shifting to the cloud, it should obey the law of land. Means it should be a MIT or government agency and paneled, one thing. Because if we identify that, because we have to also compliance with the regulation of government of India, and we stay here. First point is that. Second thing is that there are a lot of compliance and regulation, just like ISO standard and regulatory of data and data protections. So I have to ensure that the CSP is obey that compliance which apply on us, and he can ensure, and he should be liable for that also. Second point. Third point, I should able to visualize my data, what is happening, and just like I cannot rely upon that our CSP is very secure and all these things, but I want to see the visibility, how it is going on. And third is every time I need to audit and monitoring in a regular basis. I think these are the basics point. I think every
Okay.
should be.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'll moving on. I would put my next question to Mr. Deepak Soni. and Mr. Deepak Soni is from Transco. So the question for you is, what factors should PSUs consider when selecting a cloud service provider, and what criteria should they use to evaluate their options?
Right. In the era of IT, nowadays, digitalization has been increased and every organization moving toward the cloud. As you say, public sector undertaking, there are so many constraints for the public sector undertaking to select a particular service provider for the cloud services. As we can say, one solution can't fit everybody, so depend on organization what criteria they want to select a public cloud service provider. Still, there are some particular things one should consider while identifying the cloud service provider. First of all, security and data protection. The service provider must have some certification regarding cyber security and should also compliance with the rules and regulation of the country. Like there is ISO certification 27001, the service provider must have these certifications. Secondly, they must have provision for scalability and flexibility in their offering. The requirement of the data or storage depend as the system grow, as the organization grow, the requirement increases. So service provider must have scalability in their offer as well as flexibility. They have different plan. They must have different plan for the different organization. Like some organization required require more storage capability during peak hours. So accordingly they can make their tender and select a service provider. Third, the service provider, the performance of the service provider. We must ensure the best service provider we are going to select. So we can track their past records and the terms of the downtime. How much least downtime the service provider provides in their previous organization. We can consider that. The most important things, the vendor lock-in. Sometimes what happens, we give some tender to some particular vendor and it makes it the propriety. Again and again after year to year, we have to depend on this particular vendor. So while we selecting the service provider for the cloud services, we must ensure that we are not trapped in the vendor, or there must be a provision to shift from one cloud service provider to another cloud providers. So this type of provision must be there in the tender. One crucial point is there must be a provision for exit plan. If in the end of the time of after 2-3 years you have some particular issues with some service provider, so you must have provision in the tender that there is an exit plan. You not thoroughly depend on the particular vendor. There must be provisions to easily switch over from one service provider to another service provider. So these types of provision must be there while selecting the cloud service providers. And I think being a public sector undertaking, there are some constraint by the government of India in tenderings that sometimes there is a L1 bidders we have to go. But for cloud service provider, I think we should go for QCBS tenderings, so that we can judge the best quality service providers there as well as cost effective. Through QCBS, we can select best service provider in the public sector undertaking.
Okay, thank you. So my next question would be to Mr. Ajay Nema. So what strategies can PSUs implement to optimize cost management and maximize the value of their cloud investment?
Okay, sir. As you know that our panels tell that every organization has...
You're not, you may take the mic a little bit.
Hello. Yeah. You just repeat the question again.
Okay, I said what strategies can PSUs implement to optimize their cost management and maximize the return for their cloud investments?
Correct, correct. Sir, it's very important to organization how they adopt the cloud services. It depend on their requirements. First, the selection of the good service, reliable service providers. So first, I'm focused on the there should be usage basis.
Right.
Usage basis agreement should be with service providers. So whatever we use the cloud services and cloud, that is a size of the cloud is a very important thing. So we should make the correct size of the and also the scalability option to be adopted for the future use. So we could not pay the higher money without usage of this particular cloud services. And other one is that for implementing this cloud services, we should be very much about the data losses. Data losses should not be there. Data in compromised condition should be not be there, and also we should improve the network security also in parallel when we implement this cloud-based services, and also change the mindset of the end users, and also we face a lot of problems of this inadequate access policy. That should be very important for during the implementation of the cloud services. That should be very properly, so we can make the adequate access management should be there, so we can manage all these challenges during the implementation of the cloud services.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on. The last panelist of the day, the question for Dipesh ji. Can you pass on the mic? So the question for Mr. Dipesh Jain: how do PSUs ensure seamless integration and interoperability between cloud-based and on-premises systems?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Basically, the migration and maintenance of on-premises and cloud.
Sure. So I'll cover the technical aspects of this question because it talks about the interoperability and the integration of the operations at DC, at on-premise data center and your cloud adoption. So I will say that mainly you need to assess the type of workload which you are deploying on your setups, whether data on-premise or cloud. And those setups has to be work seamlessly, because ultimately we are talking about a cloud site which has to be productive and what I mean to say is, like, suppose if I have an on-premise DC and on-cloud DR, so I need to have a good RTO, well-defined RTO, and that has to be activated within that RTO and RPOs. So for achieving those RTOs and RPOs, that integration has to be seamless. So that's where I'm coming from, and to achieve those seamless integration, we need to utilize those technologies like P2V migrations, where your servers, either physical or VMs, can be switched over. It's a little technical, so I'm going a little slow. So those VMs can be switched over to a DR site in a short time and with a risk-free steps of operations. Otherwise, there can be a case where you want to switch over to DR site or a cloud site, but you stuck in between. So to have this seamless interoperability integration, has to be a very technically analyzed. Then only you can integrate the two things. And believe me, it's not a very simple thing, because generally, as my co-panelist has said earlier, that generally on-premise setups are quite old or obsolete, or using older versions of operating systems or databases or the hardware itself. So to integrate those systems with a cloud site, which are generally modern, using latest technologies, to have those kind of integration where the data will be syncing in real-time manner, where those operations can be switched over, where the backups can be taken with a confidence that can be restored within shortest time. So all those aspects need to be taken care of apart from security of data at both on-premise and cloud. So this has to be analyzed on a use case-to-case basis, and depending upon the workloads, whether it is SAP workload or Oracle workload or your ERPs, your in-house applications, .NET applications, PHP, every technology has its own way of integration with on-premise and cloud. That is for sure, that's possible, but still you need to integrate with a proper documentation and steps, so that if that switchover is required from on-premise to cloud or cloud to on-premise, then that can be done in a set of procedures by the IT people confidently and within the limited time which generally a IT manager gets. That's what I can say about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dipesh. Anyone wants to add anything else? Otherwise, we'll wrap up. Yeah.
I think if we wrap up the subject, I have been a witness from when system boot from the floppy. If you think about the journey, there is a personal system. When your information get with you, then data center concept are there, and people just worry about that my data is handling someone, but it was within the organization where you can somewhat trust, and nowadays it is beyond the organization. But we cannot deny that the existence and need of CSP. And my point is that either we are own, or CSP cannot run your system. The best practice is hybrid. I think so. Hybrid system can help your organization, because the requirement of your client and citizen is very you can say on a timely. We cannot wait right now. Either it is government or people and your user, and we have to compete. If globally, then we have to maintain the standard also, and the standard it define your the way of delivering of your services. And if we commit with our services and all these things, then we need to the availability and liveness all the time. So then there are some limitation with the own prem, and because everybody I think agree upon that it is very difficult to procure the latest technology on day one or day two or month or year. It is very difficult for us, and we are not able to change. And the second thing is that skill set, it is the major drawback, we can say, with any organization. We cannot have that much of skill set, either it is technology wise or CSP wise. So we have to make the balance within own prem, our own, and your CSP, because we have to ensure that which application I have to convert on CSP native, or which we need to have our own, because there are some limitations. And one more thing I want to add, I think CSP must also change their model, because your business process you can run on the cloud, but your network and all these devices, they are not able to own that part. Because if in on premises and you can say cloud, we have to send our data and all these things. So who will be the responsible that will provide that secure network? I think CSP don't allow that one. So I think one model must be there. Then if I outsource my all IT and all these things, then it should be liable for the CSP that your headache has been taken us and you do your own work for which you have to meant for.
So I think you put it very rightly. There are basically multiple models. It depends. There is no single formula for this. It depends upon an organization which model to select. And when we talk about cloud environment, we're not only talking about a service provider. We're also talking about hybrid models. We're also talking about maybe you have your own dedicated cloud. So we could also, if it's a very big organization like Indian Oil could have their own dedicated, the personal cloud may not be on premises, may be in a different data center elsewhere or scattered. Because a single data center has one of the major problems. The single data center is your resilience, is your backups, is your alternates. So all those, having thought about all those considerations, it is imperative that PSUs will need to move to cloud. It's becoming the necessity of the day. And also in the post-COVID era, we've seen that physical proximity does not matter anymore. So people have got rid of that physical proximity concept. The resistance to change, which you had rightly pointed out, people are not willing to go to cloud because there's a traditional concept that my data is in my room, it is in my office. But those concepts have to gradually change because physical proximity has no sense now. So I think it was a very, very good session, and we all know challenges, opportunities, both opportunities as well as challenges for cloud. And but having said that, if we need to move ahead in technology, it is becoming the necessity of the day. Cloud has to be a part of the digitization. It has to be a part of the technology. Thank you. I think we'll wind up the session with that.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your views and insights on cloud-enabled digital infrastructure of PSU's challenges and opportunities. Now, I would like to call on stage Ms. Sangamitra Mohanty and Gopi Krishna Arora to kindly